Thank you, Meryl. Thank you, everyone, for coming down today and spending Saturday with us. I'm very glad to be here. And as Meryl, just to add on to what Meryl said, we're very happy to be doing these talks in the gallery because it's an opportunity to kind of have these conversations about topics and certain moments that may not be illuminated enough in our current display, but certainly adds on to the narratives of our permanent galleries in ways that we can't through artworks. It's also an opportunity to meet artists in person in a more intimate setting, and today we have, of course, Mr. Teo with us. And as you can tell, as you will know, we have his paper dye sculpts in the previous room. But the reason why we're in this room today is because we're going to focus on a very different dimension of Mr. Teo's practice, and that's his organization of the arts festivals at the United Worlds College from the 1970s to the 1980s. Many of the artists whose works you see here participated in these festivals. So we're here hoping to kind of discuss these works as well. And the significance of these art festivals was that it was one of the earliest sites in which one could see a comprehensive array of contemporary art from the region and internationally. Right? And there were, on top of that, there were artworks by students at the same time. You know, visitors could see works by Ahmad Sadali, A.D. Piruz, Eng Tao, whose works is over there, Itipo Tongchalok from Thailand, alongside works like David Hockney, Alan Jones, Salvador Dali even. So, I mean, this was a moment in Singapore's art history where, I mean, this is even before the National Museum Art Gallery was launched in 1976. So there was no kind of other venue where one could go and see this sort of range of contemporary art at the time. The only other venue perhaps that's comparable is Alpha Gallery. As many of you know, many of these artists also showed at Alpha Gallery. So really, there was really no other kind of institution that showed works of this intensity. They had annual festivals every year, initiated by Mr. Teo. Yeah? But unfortunately, this has kind of fallen out of art history somewhat, even though there's quite a number of literature which Mr. Teo has brought along with him today. It's not really been quite studied enough. So today, the focus of the talk is really to discuss the Arts Festival, its significance, and also the way it initiated the idea of the contemporary in Southeast Asian art. Yeah? And also how that's then positioned internationally. So maybe Mr. Teo, we can begin by maybe you sharing a bit more about how you conceived of the arts festivals and the kind of activities that you initiated in the school.
Well, first I think I need to steal a bit of publicity for myself. It's a very good opportunity. Right? Throughout the 1960s, I was living in England, and I must say I had a jolly good time there. Yeah, very comfortable. If I need to have a change of environment, I just apply for wherever I wanted to go. Right? And if I want a promotion, I will just seek another job which is higher up, you know. And so for 10 years have always been like that. It was fantastic. Until toward the 10 years, then I realized that it was quite meaningless really, enjoying yourself and not going to somewhere where you can put yourself to good use that will benefit society, the communities and all that. So someone from Singapore sent me an advertisement about job in the new Singapore International School. And what attracted me in that advertisement was that the school mission statement was to promote international understanding and goodwill. To promote international understanding and goodwill. So I said to myself, here is a very good opportunity for you to do that. Yeah? To promote international understanding and goodwill. And it's also happening in Singapore, where I came from, right? So immediately I took the opportunity to apply for a job And I got a job. As I say, you apply for a job, you get it. No, you don't like it, you apply for another one, you get it. And it's marvelous, isn't it? So I hop up a chartered plane, BA chartered plane, with 65 other teachers. Right? And we landed in Singapore. And we were taken to Dover Road, where Singapore International School was, you see. So when we arrived there, we found lots of materials from other schools, other army, British Army school. Lots of material were moved there. So we said to ourselves, have we got to clear all these before we start our work, you see? And indeed we have to, because we only got 2 weeks to sort out your rooms and all that, to clear the things outside your place, and then to start your lesson, start teaching. But never mind, I think it was a good challenge, you know. And then somebody said, I think we ought to have a festival of the art. Are you interested in the art department? Are you interested in it? So I said, yes, of course. It's a very good opportunity to promote international understanding and goodwill. I play on that every time, wherever I meet, you know, blockage. When somebody blocked me from doing my things, I would say, we have to promote international understanding and goodwill, you know. If I don't get enough money, I say, this is not fair, because, you know, I should be getting the same as anybody else, you know. So, very good opportunity to do that. So, anyway, within 2 weeks, the school opened, students came in, and we started teaching. Then, of course, we have to do what you call the scheme of work, right? The scheme of work for your department. And then you have to have what you call a mission statement, you know, a mission statement. And I read to you the mission statement. This is the first festival. It happened 3 months, which is a term, 3 months after the school opened. I think that's quite frightening. We didn't make it in 3 months, you know, apart from setting up the school. So, where is the mission statement? Now, the mission statement reads here. It says, let's see, look at that lovely pictures on there. Yeah, it says, to provide a program of study which emphasizes the importance of art in the community and community activities, domestic and individual life, to make each pupil identify himself with a positive and informed attitude towards art, his environment, and his time. This we emphasize all the time. And his time by seeing, doing, and participating with all his senses. So that's our mission statement. Our mission is the mission. We are producing people for tomorrow, the future. Because a student is with you now, and you are preparing them for the future. Right? So, within 3 months, where will you go? What will you do? What kind of art exhibition do you want? You know? Not to worry that we have the drama department and the music department. They are also busy working out what exactly they wanted to put out for the festival. So for me and my colleague, there were only 2 guys in the art department. 2 guys. 2 art room, 2 guys. Yeah. My colleague was a Scotsman. A fantastic guy. Everything fine. Yeah. When I get into trouble, he will back me up. Fantastic head of department. He was my head of department. So when I get into trouble, he will say, look, if you listen to him carefully, you will understand him. So don't start hating him first, okay? Don't tell him off. He's okay, he's a nice guy. You know, try to understand him. That's the kind of head of department I love. Sometimes the parents came in and say, My daughter didn't like art anymore because Mr. Teo, lousy teacher, you know. So my head of department will say, do you know we never lock the gate? So if you're not happy, please go out. I like Mr. Teo, he's okay with me, you know. So you see, I have the kind of meeting, privilege of getting support from my colleagues, you see. So for the art festival, we have to be realistic. Within 3 months, how are you going to get your artists? So very simple. The first thing is, my brother is the #1 photographer for portraiture, you see. If you look at all his portraits, you will see the visual history of personality of the time, from the British governor right down to Lee Kuan Yew. So I said, that's a very good idea. Get him, right? And then, fortunately also, the first generation of artists, at that time we didn't call it first generation, but we called it the old artists, you know, those Lao Jianpui, you know, those very talented old people, you know, Zhang Shupian, Chen Wenxi, Liu Gang, Ya Qihui, you name it. And they were people I knew in the 1950s. So it was no problem, isn't it? Just give them a call, you know, find out where they live. Telephone directory will tell you what numbers you should call, and then go and see them. And we have 100% yes, you see. Then we said to Chen Wenxi, you know, would you like to do a demonstration, a finger painting demonstration as well, you know? I said, well, I'll be delighted. Wow. Lao Jianpui so easily said that to me. Well, I was so very happy, and my colleague, Kevin Waddle, you know, said, yeah, we are going on all right, you know, so we get him to do it, you see. So the festival opened. And we make it a point that the art exhibition must always be the opening event, right? The opening event, you know? The others can follow, right? So it became the opening event. A lot of people came, you know. But don't forget, besides that, we also have exhibition of our students' work, as well as exhibition of local school students' work. It is a total concept. It involves everybody, including art staff. So don't think you can sit down there and talk and never do your work, right? So every year, you know, you make sure you have got half a dozen work, right? For us to pick 2, you know, and put it in the show. So it keeps them on the toe all the time. At that time, of course, there was only 2 guys, right? So no problem. We love painting, so no problem at all, right? But when we expanded to 4, the next year, it's a different story. And then you have part-timers and all that. So, you know, the idea of everyone participating is building a community. It's promoting understanding, isn't it? Yeah, so we are always reminded that we have to promote understanding, right? And so the first one, and the first festival ended with photographers and Chong Shu Pen work. See that? And then the logo we have Festival of the Arts. Quite a nice logo, isn't it? It's all done by students. Everything in here is all done by students. It's a very, very good experience for them to deal with it, you know. And I think it's a lovely logo, don't you think so? Yeah? I think I saw it at SBS or whatever, see, television also adopted something like that. See, I will show you more clearly in subsequent what you call a festival. So the idea, of course, is that if you just promote a community in Singapore, it's small, isn't it? 255 square miles or something like that. Am I right? My geography, am I right? Singapore is about that size, right? Well, 5 million at the moment, so it's all right. So not many. At that time, was only 2 million. Right? So that's more community. So we have to go beyond, beyond Singapore, and finally, hopefully, the whole world. Right? So in the second festival, the logo remained the same. The second festival, we included lovely student work, isn't it? Yeah. Second festival, we included Malaysia, Australia, New Zealand, Israel, and Taiwan. You see, just to find out what exactly these people contributed, is to look at the catalog. Number 2 is lovely, isn't it? Also done by students. Huh? So, what's the contribution from the professional section? We had Abdul Latif Ling Sing, Susan Koo, Marina Longbo. Marina Longbo, have you heard of Marina Longbo? He was at one time running the Alpha Gallery. Right? So, from the Malaysian side, we have Kusui Ho behind, isn't it? Kusui Ho and Abdul Latif and some other people. Then from New Zealand, we have pottery, and you know that New Zealanders are very good in pottery. You see, so they contributed some pottery. You see, we make it an interesting component of the exhibition. Then, of course, other artists. Then you have Israel. Israel sent some posters and craft. You see, posters and craft. And from Taiwan, is a well-known artist called Chung Chi. You see, so it's a modest improvement from the first festival. We have gone outside Singapore. You see, but.
And Mr. Teo, do you want to say a little bit about how you managed to get these works from New Zealand?
This is...
And with very little funding as well, from what I understand.
Okay. Funding, nothing. Yeah. So when it's nothing, I say it's fine. You know? How do we go about it? When we wanted to buy the demonstration work as a memento, because it was the first festival, and Chen Wen-shi was an important artist, it was only $200. And we couldn't get from the boss $200. So I said to 2 kids, do a little thermometer, please, you know, and put the head there, you know, and start marking upward. And we got the money. So that's money, you see. But as for the others, we said to the student, what's your father doing, eh? Oh, Bayer. It's a big company, isn't it? Put an advertisement there, okay, and so on. So the money is raised from advertisement, right? And what else did you ask me?
About the embassies. How did you...
Embassies. If you want to oversee things, you know, an embassy was quite dominant at that time. Probably that concentrating on spying. Nothing much to do, right? You know, so when we approach them and say, would you like to help us to get some important artists to come in? Who do you want? Oh, you got Alan Jones? Oh, Alan Jones, we got Alan Jones, and you got, who else have we got? We got Paoloxi, you like Paoloxi? I said Paoloxi is fine, you know. And so we went to the British Council, and we found Alan Jones in the toilet. Beautiful Alan Jones. I don't go into all the chronological order, right? So that's the beautiful Alan Jones in our 5th festival. And I can understand why it's hung in the toilet. Yeah? So they can see, huh? Wow, lovely ladies' legs. Right? Yeah. So these are found there. Right? And they help us with shipment. Right? Finding the artist, we rather prefer to find it ourselves. So we name the artist. Can you bring this artist in? You know? And usually they'll say we will try. Right? And if later on the product arrived, we had to go to to the what? To the wharf or to the airport and clear all these things ourselves. So that time 4 members of staff already, so we can say, take care of my class. I'm going to the airport. So we went there and cleared. You see. So if you open the box and then you discover, isn't the same kind of thing that we asked for, isn't it? We got some craft things, right? But it's all right. They're very fine Japanese prints. You see, so I think we can create a nice section. Because after all, these are lovely Japanese print, and Japan is famous for prints, right? So I think it should be all right. So we created a nice component for that also. So when you don't get what you ask for, then you are being challenged. What would you do with them? How are these things going to contribute to your promotion of international understanding and goodwill and understanding each other culture and whatever is it, so each other art, to go beyond your soul, right? So it provides an opportunity. So we have to deal with it, and so far it has always been fine. If you read the write-up in this festival, we always end up with the art stuff. If you ever see a name appeared instead of the art stuff, it's because it hasn't got the unanimous agreement, right? So you put your name there, we are not part of it, right? So it happens like that all the time. Fortunately, not too often. I think it happened twice only. I kena one time. My water also kena one time. Kena, you know what kena is, right? I had to put my name there once, and my head of department also had to do that once. All the others were okay, the art stuff, and we like it, the art stuff. Then we can see that we are part and parcel of each other. That's how we promote understanding, isn't it? Yeah. So.
Okay, so Mr. Teo, if I can just pause there and come back to the international in a moment. I'm also interested in the efforts to kind of promote an idea of Southeast Asian art. So in your very early beginnings of the show, you wrote in the catalogue I have here, it says that you're convinced that the artists of ASEAN countries have a great deal to contribute to international contemporary art. Yes. Yeah. So in some ways, Southeast Asian art becomes a recognizable entity at this point. Yeah. And I'm curious, how was Southeast Asian art appraised and presented in the exhibitions that you produced?
Yeah, it was, I think it was in 1976, the opening of the National Museum Art Gallery. Mm-hmm. So my good friend, Teo Eng Seng, who was head of design, Constance Shear was the curator, Teo Eng Seng, the head of design, he actually designed all the interiors of the gallery. And I said to him, I think it would be beneficial for you and I to go to some of these Asian countries to meet some of the prominent artists, right? And he agreed. So we went to Thailand and we saw Itipu Thanchalok by going to his university where he was teaching. And from him you get to know all the other important artists in Thailand. And then we hop over to the Philippines, and again we met, Philippines was quite, at that time, I was very uncomfortable when I arrived because everywhere you see people carrying guns, you see. So I said to Mr. Choi, I don't like to take a risk like that because I don't have a fair chance, you see. If that person to draw the gun, I won't have the fair chance. I want to go home. He said, let's go to the theater, cinema, sit inside there. I think he saw a telephone. He said, I know what to do. I called this guy to dial his friend, Ang Kui Kok. Have you heard of Ang Kui Kok? from the Philippines, one of the top artists. He passed away already. So Uncle Kok came with his friend Malang, also another famous artist, you see. And then we had a jolly good time, you see. Went to the restaurant, have lovely seafood, and then meet many of the other artists, and we got to know everyone. It was so simple. I said, would you all like to participate in our art exhibition? You know? I said, sure. When is it happening? So I said, well, this day, if you don't mind, you know. But I must tell you, we don't have money. So could you send the work to us at your own expense? And then, as you know, we artists have, if we want the art to survive, we got to exhibit, isn't it? And we got to help ourselves as far as possible. And then, of course, the returning back, we will fund that one, a shared responsibility. We will find the money to send back the work to you. But, of course, we will try and sell the work for you if it's available for sale, you know. So, usually it's available for sale. So we will try, or we tried selling them, and we managed to succeed, right? So that's the arrangement, that's the kind of arrangement. And surprisingly, these major artists not only took part in one show, but several other shows as well during the festival time. So that's how the money come in. We got no money. We always put it on to the artists, you know. You have a responsibility to see that you survive, your art is recognized, and all that. You know? So you help yourself, I help myself, you know. And if I can, I find the money and send it back to you. And it was amazing. The spirit was amazing. That's how we promote international understanding and goodwill. Yeah.
Okay.
So, have I got time?
Yes, you do. So, if I can ask, what kind of conversations did you have with these artists?
Well,
You met them, were they conversations about art?
Conversation. First, I have to introduce myself, and of course, I will say I'm nobody, you know, but I am just someone kepo. I say, you know, you know, I just want to promote international understanding and goodwill. You see, so you will share that with me, right? It's so very important. Look, look at the Vietnam War going on. This is because we don't have the understanding, you know. And we only sell bullets, boogie trap and all that kind of things. So we got to do something, you know. And we can do it through art. And don't forget, the artists that we pick are always the artists who live in the time for the future. In other words, you talk about contemporary art. You live with the time for the future. That means, don't give me some old stuff that have been done, you know, centuries ago, not because you can copy very well or you are very skillful and all that. Make sure you have a statement to make. Yeah? The statement is now and then. But you know what happened, right? So that's the history, which is also important. But then your work will demonstrate the spirit of your time, and you project the future of your art. That's how I define contemporary art. You're never at ease. Once you are at ease, you're not living in your time. Your time is a struggle. So if you don't struggle, you're not living in your time. You see? You cannot be too comfortable. You know, you must always be on the go, right? That's how we work out with the student. Every time when we present artwork for exhibition, the student component is a big challenge because they will come up with all sorts of arrangements that you don't think of. Jam-packed, you know, put scaffolding all over the place, and then, pack it with painting. And I said, crawl in and have a look, or climb up there and have a look. You see, the kind of presentation that excites. So each presentation is different from another. It's memorable. You don't put up a show where people come in and say, it's all right, it's okay, They will remember it. This is the show, and you want more. And the next year you come, you say, it's better than the previous year, and you have something to talk about. You got more questions? You are the engine, you have to drive me on, because I easily forget. At my age, what do you expect?
I have many. Okay, so these sort of internationalist, nationalist tendencies were widespread across the region in the 60s and 70s, right? And then, there's a certain fascination with abstraction also. There's a sort of entanglement between these sort of internationalist tendencies and this fascination for something new, something universal.
Yeah.
And these sort of movements were kind of trying to counter what they saw as a kind of datedness of what was going on in the local art scene. So in Singapore, for instance, you have the Singapore River group, and some artists, maybe like yourself and Cho Chai Hyang, felt a certain sense of datedness, or that the Singapore River theme as a kind of provincial ideal has passed its time, and so you created your work like the paper dye sculpt, the network, in response to that. So I'm wondering whether this also translated to the way you thought of UWC festivals. How did you define? Do you see it as a shift away from what was going on in Singapore? And does it translate to the artists that were involved in the shows and the students that you taught?
I don't think it's a shift away. We face the challenge and the problems. For example, when Eng Seng, Eng Seng, right? Very well-known artist, isn't it? You have painted lovely picture of Singapore River. Everyone want to own one, So when the river got cleaned up, he grumbled. This time the river is not smelly, and you don't have debris inside, you don't have dead dogs or chicken, and no texture in my work. If I paint like this, there's no texture, So he lamented on that, So I decided I should go down the river and see whether it's true or not. So I went and I looked. What lovely, beautiful reflection, See the building wobble about, you see? See the form of the sunlight on the water and all that. You see, why is he complaining? Of course you don't have the dirt and you don't have the smell, you see? But that's a good thing, isn't it? Time has changed. Therefore, you have to represent it in a contemporary way. Face it, the river is nice and clean. You can swim across like Ho Ka Leong did. Yeah? You can swim across and get up and still smell good, right? So I produced an artwork called The Net. The Net. Am I right? The Net? Yeah. And it's a response to Eng Seng. You see? Yeah, we clear out everything with the net. So the net. And about the net, it's a fantastic piece of work. I'm sorry, I'm praising myself. marketing, But the net, until today, and I've said it to the curator times and again. Have you changed the title?
Not yet, no.
Not yet. I was shocked, you see, when the curator called me up and said, would you like to come in and help us to put up your work? So I thought it's all right, it's very nice to be able to see how it's done, So I came, and then I discovered that all the pieces were taken out of the net. So I said, what do you want me to do? He said, you have to put it up. So you put the things up. I said, hey, everything came out of the net. Why is it that it came out? He said, the packer thing is a very good way. Take it off and you can stack it up nicely. You see? So I said, what do you want me to do then? You put it back lah. I said, to put it back, you know, one, the net has stretched so much, and I wouldn't know where to put it back, because unless you had numbered it, you know, you make some marking, I wouldn't know how to do it. You know, it would take much longer time than initially, because initially I can do it anywhere. This one I have to find out where exactly it should be. I refer to the photograph, where should it be, you know? So I said, I can't do it. I can't, honestly, I can't, you know. Sorry, bye-bye. So I went. Then I think she called me a week later and said, we have done it, but we need your approval. My approval, no, you have done it, I got to approve it. So I came. Wow, my net has grown up twice the size. My net grown up in value now. Bigger means more money, right? Twice the size. That's how people sell paintings, some of the artists. This one, big one. Big one more expensive. You buy this small one, less expensive. So I said, now it's more expensive, you know. So the curator wanted to know, very anxious, do you think it's all right or not? So I said, of course. It's very well done. You know, it's very well done. I approve. Approve. Oh, what a relief. Huh? But I said, but one condition. You must redo the title. You know, you do the title like Curatorial Reconstruction of the Net by Teo Eng Seng. Not done yet, isn't it?
Okay, so just to address this, we are working on improving the install of the work.
You should do it, because this is contemporary art, interactive. You know, you do it. You have done it, so you do it. And you see, the reconstruction is not mine. Mine is only half the size, not so expensive. Yeah? Correct or not? Yeah? Do it. It's contemporary art.
Okay.
You can take part, interactive. This is the problem in Singapore, you see. When you do something new, or when you chance upon, or when you are challenged, you take the initiative, but the viewers are scared. they dare not do it when they should do it. You see? It the same with my other work, isn't it? I dig an American, I dig a bed full of dead bodies, right? And then I wrap the dead body with the American flag. Then I said, only American, I said. American youngsters especially can climb on the flag, lie on it, you know. So I sent it to the inauguration exhibition of the National Museum Art Gallery.
Was it the sculpture exhibition or the inaugural exhibition?
No, this one is all together. I threw it out. You can't do that. The flag must be respected. I say, yeah, conventional thinking is the flag must be respected. Had it not been for these young people in America who protested about the war in Vietnam, the war would never have finished. They protested, you know. Elsewhere they burned the flag, right? So I say, tribute to these young people, you know, who didn't want the war, so they can lie on the flag. I think it's not bad, isn't it? The idea, you know. But the judges cannot accept it, you see. So I said, never mind. I got my own venues. I have alternative, you see. So in the same year, I had it in the Festival of the Art. So the problem in Singapore is, you can come up with something new, but if the expert cannot tally with you, your work go out. Like Chiu Chai Hiang, his scrubbing board, log of wood. The work was going to go out, see? But then, fortunately, you have some of the judges saying, I think we can give it a try. It's something new, no? So it came back. But mine was too big, so more space for the others. Up.
I just want to return to the American flag, Mr. Teo. So it seems like that work suddenly, it was one of the few works at the time to introduce new elements. So you have the social participation and also the fact that you were dealing with popular struggles at the moment. Yeah. Were there other artists at the UWC whose works you think were comparable, who started introducing these sort of new elements, which are in a way hallmark attributes of what we now consider today as contemporary art? Right?
Well, my colleague, for example, Teo Eng Seng, he also liked these ideas of producing what you call cheeky things, yeah, or naughty things, something that is not normal, right? So they did try, but when you talk about newness, you look at my boss, Gavin Waddell, he only used paint and papers and all that. But the way he used the material is quite different from the others. He will create the kind of painting that make you see things out of nothing. You see, and he tells you this is Dasaru. See, I can't see any Dasaru there. Have you been to Dasaru, by the way? See, yeah, I've been to Dasaru. How do you see the Dasaru here? Sorry, you have not experienced it. You see, I go to Dasaru every year, when I have a break. Dasaru is a fantastic place. The sand, the wind, the smell and everything. So that's something different again. So among the colleague and the student, we shared all this experience, So it's not something that we keep it to ourselves. We share it, and that will promote international understanding and goodwill, right?
Okay.
Yeah?
I mean, okay, so I just want to read a passage in one of the catalogs that I thought was very interesting, and it's one of those that just really stood out for me. Because I kind of really want to drive at the idea of the kind of ideas you're promoting at the festivals. So this is in the 1977 catalog. It's the 6th festival. And there are about 10 festivals, as Mr. Teo said.
Yeah.
So it reads as such. A growing discontent with the traditional part art has played has led to ever increasing and expanding attempts by artists to determine a newer and more satisfactory role for themselves in modern society. The idea of the artist being a specialist, using a very limited language to communicate his creative thinking, is being replaced by the concept of the artist being interdisciplinary, bridging the various compartments of society and bringing closer together the extremes. This is only possible because art has no predetermined confines. Indeed, much of what is happening in the art world is from beyond the canvas. And I kind of want to think about that for a moment. Beyond the canvas.
Beyond the canvas.
Did that influence the way you were choosing works? Is that what you saw many artists at the time doing?
That's something we always try to drive in the activities into the head of the students, that you have to live in your time because we are preparing you and you are preparing yourself for the future. So it goes beyond the canvas, The canvas is a statement you make, you see. But what got into the canvas? Historian will tell you, if you want to talk about the work, you have to talk about the origin, right? The origin of how that work came about. You see, go back in time. It's just like, just now I was selling myself, isn't it? Advertisement, huh? And so it has always been that you have to be forward-looking You have to experience the time. Right? Whether it is the Singapore River, smelly or very nice smelling, you have to experience it, or Dasaru for that matter, which I didn't experience when I went there one time only. And I have to have my colleague telling me, you haven't experienced it, right? You saw the scenery, but you have not experienced it. Therefore, you can't understand it. So you look at it, you say, maybe I have to go back again and experience it, try at least. Yeah? That answer your question?
Yes. Okay. I mean, we now have about 10 minutes for questions. I just want to kind of wrap up and just thank you for sharing about the Arts Festival. I mean, for me, it's very clear that much more studies have to be done for these festivals. It plays a central role in the exhibition histories of contemporary art in Singapore. So on the one hand, you can see that this really developed out of artists and curators like Mr. Teo, who roamed around the region and created and forged this sort of professional and social relationships, and really having these discussions about building cross-cultural perspectives. And then on the other hand, there are also new ideas being forged by these festivals about what art is. It's not just about form, it's also about addressing the certain contingencies of site and politics at the time, which really happened, quite amazingly before there were institutions like the National Museum Art Gallery. So thank you, Mr. Teo, for sharing today.
You're welcome.
If you have any questions.
Thank you. Question time.
Is there a mic or do you just... Oh, okay, sorry.
Mr. Teo, could you help sell a bit more about yourself regarding the net? Definitely the Singapore River. Basically, you were saying that the net, it was used to clean up the river, is that?
Yeah.
And that's the inspiration behind it?
Well, it's a cheeky piece of work, right? And when I hear somebody saying something which I thought was, quite unreasonable or immature, and I feel it's better I responded through art rather than tell him, because I could end up in a fight. So being older, I might lose. You see? So it's a cheeky piece of work in response to a fellow artist, much younger than me. So I won't take chances like that. I do it through artwork, you see. Artwork it's beyond the canvas, beyond the canvas. It can do wonders that you don't expect, so you have to think of new ways. So very often in such a light-hearted thing, cheekiness is the answer.
I'm really glad I came because I didn't know about these festivals. And the common understanding in Singapore about contemporary art always starts with like the artist village and Tao and all that, right? But your festivals are actually much earlier, 60s and the 70s. So Joleen, your point about the fact that maybe there was there's certainly some research that's required of how these festivals actually influence later thinking. What do you mean by that? I mean, how did your festivals actually influence the art in Singapore in the 90s? Is there any indication that both of you can think of that because of these 10 festivals that started with this new thing called contemporary art, which is really a way of thinking, the way that you've described it? So, who did you influence in the 90s?
Who? Well,
He influenced me. I'm very influenced by Teo's work, his vision.
yeah.
Are you an artist of the 90s?
I started in the 90s.
She is Hong Sik Chun,
Yeah, started in 1995.
very well known third generation artists. Yeah. How? Well, first of all, when we put up a festival, it is based on the belief that we can promote international understanding and goodwill. You see? We can bring people together, like Woodstock. You know Woodstock? Yeah? Lots of people coming in. I can remember the first few festivals, we had something like 14 buses lined up from the road right up to the top of the campus. 14 buses, busload of children from school who all wanted to see not only their work there, but also work from other schools and the professional section as well. And I think that's a fantastic idea to bring in so many people there, you know. But we don't really think of, say, how we influence. We do it. The fact is, we believe in something and then we do it. And what happens, that is not my problem. Hopefully, it has some influence on people, and hopefully, people will see what they initially didn't see, you know, and hopefully, they can come up and tell me they don't like it because it's rubbish. Because that will be a challenge, another starting point, you see. Sometimes, I give you one good example, quite embarrassing really. I read in a school magazine, not my school, another school, a local school, the children who came to see the exhibition. And a student wrote an essay and said, they went to the professional section of the art exhibition, and it was like a black hole of Calcutta. See? What the person was complaining was about the lighting wasn't good enough. You see? And indeed, we had no money to buy spotlight. See that time? The initial stage, we had no money. But it was very good for me. So I took the magazine up to my boss and said, look, how embarrassing. This little kid in Swiss Cottage School said, it was like a black hole of Calcutta. You know, the painting was hanging in darkness. You know? I say, how embarrassing, you know. It's all because you never put aside some money for spotlight. Will you do it this time? And we succeeded. Thanks to the student who wrote the essay. I didn't know the student by you. I didn't tell the student to write that. I found out because I had somebody who brought it to me and said, you see, this is what written about your festival. So that's good. Criticism produces productivity or action, and it improves the condition. And that's what the festival is all about too, isn't it? If you don't like it, you say so. And I listen, you know, and I see whether I can take my mission statement or the school mission statement, promote international understanding and goodwill. See, local community said, you know, you didn't put the lighting properly, you see.
But thank you for your question. I also have an answer for that, and I'm glad you asked actually, because I think there's a common understanding that, like you said, contemporary art begins with Dawu, like, you know, a singular figure. But what I'm also trying to get at with this talk is also that there is no historical rupture that happens between the modern and the contemporary. There's no one moment that says, okay, now we have entered the contemporary. But the contemporary always has one foot in the past and one foot in the present, right? It's so much more complex and entangled than that. And what I'm interested with this, looking at UWC as a site, is that it goes back much earlier, and this sort of ideas of what we think of as contemporary is already intimated by artists around Mr. Teo. And as for the influence of the UWC, I think it's really hard to make this sort of direct connections like this person influence that, unless, you know, there's a direct teacher-student connection. But it's also the kinds of things Mr. Teo was alluding at and the kinds of relationships he forged going to travel with Mr. Choi Wing-Yang, who is the curator of the National Museum Art Gallery, who was then responsible for collecting and building a national collection. You know, and this will influence the display of artworks at the National Museum and Art Gallery. These were things that artists were exposed to at the time. You know, yeah. So I hope that answers the question.
Was the net in the UWC show?
Was the net in the UWC exhibition?
No.
That was in
You
1986.
see,
right?
Marjorie Chu, you know Marjorie Chu, right? She asked me to put two of my works on the level where the swimming pool was. Whether the swimming pool is still there or not, I don't know, but I was brought to a swimming pool.
Which swimming pool?
Swimming pool on the Rapid City, you know. So I went there and I said, here is a sample of the net. But I don't think we should have two little ones like this behind your bars or whatever you are thinking of, you see. What I want is, the net to completely surround the floor, yeah? Because I know that right in front is the sea, you know, and I want to bring the sea up to Raffles City, you see, it will be fantastic. So she said, yeah, don't talk rubbish. I'm only concerned with 2 4x4. So I said, you don't like the idea? 2 4x4? Sorry, mate. I'm not doing 2 4x4 because you asked for it. No, I want to surround the whole place. The impact will be great. I don't have the money for that. I said, I'm not asking you for any money. I'm just giving you the proposal. You know, don't talk about the money yet. Are you happy with that? No. 2 4x4, please. I said, no, no 2 4x4. Right? So the emphasis is the time you live in. So your expression is an expression of things that happen in your times, the thinking of the times. You know, somewhere I think in the catalogue there was a quote which says that your art is only valid for 30 to 40 years. After that, it's history. So if you want to know what contemporary art is today, it will be around only for 30 to 40 years, and then it will be a new contemporary that became history. Right? It has puzzled me many times when people use the word contemporary. I say, you mean I'm not contemporary? I'm keeping up with the time, you see?
One question I always want to ask. There's a lot of discussion about the modern and the contemporary, like you mentioned as well. But how about the artists during your time in the 60s? What were they thinking? It seems like a historian and theoretician said everything else, but I never hear much from artists themselves.
So your question is, what are artists thinking? I have to repeat this. What were they?
During your time in the 60s, like, what was your...
My time, my early time.
Do they have strict categorization? How does it work? Like, do they have strict categories between modern and contemporary?
You have to give me the period. Can in the 70s onward or
60s?
Because my time is from the 30s, you know, I fought the war. I was in the Second World War, so that's my time also. So from when to when?
Earlier than
Huh?
earlier as you can remember.
Mr. Teo was over abroad in 60s, right? He was still in
Yeah,
England.
I was away for 1 decade. Yeah.
In the 70s when he came.
But when I came back, in Singapore, you see, it's a tremendous advantage for artists in my time, right? Because you can do anything, right? In earlier years, when I went to Chinatown, for example, and I like to monkey around, you know, when I do painting, you know, I will dance around, show off, we call it, you see. And then the people will say, wow, what a bloody stroke he put on there. It's so easily done, you see. And someone will say it's a load of rubbish, you see. So I enjoyed that conversation around me, see, and all that. So, you know, that's my time. The ordinary people, in fact, are making comments like experts, and they have the right to do that, you see. So I took advantage of it and just enjoy it. Yeah, and it's very nice very easy to produce a Kokoschka kind of painting, big patchwork and all that. I don't say, wow, so thick the paint. The no brush one, use a palette knife and sweep, you know, so fantastic, you know. Yeah, but the advantage is, when I came back from England, is that I can do anything I want, you know, and nobody will say it's a load of rubbish. It's a kind of a feeling of some authority, you know. You said it's not art? My friend just told me this morning, he said, you don't like the color of my car, but I love it, that's the most important. Yeah, it's the same remark. I said, it's fine, you know. And then when the writers come, you know, our reporter, they report. They don't criticize, right? They report. So if you tell them I'm the number one, you are the number one. They all report it, you are the number one, right? I'm the number one, you know.
Okay, we have come to the end of the session. Thank you, Mr. Teo. Thank you for your time.
Oh,
thank you to all of you for joining us.
To conclude, thank you.
Yeah, please conclude if you like.
Oh, thank you.